Even though it felt like it was a little season finale yesterday with every NBA team in action, we got one more slate to close out the week. Today, we got ourselves a 5-gamer. It's going to be going on. So we're going to do what we always do here on the Splash Play NBA channel. We're going to get excited. Number one, we're also going to look at the data, going to compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there at Stokastic. We're also going to look at some ownership projections, see what's going on there. We're going to see what the best bets are, thanks to our friends at Unabated at about the halfway point of the show. By the end of this video, guys, you'll know the must-plays for today's February 13th NBA slate. Let's get into it. Hope you guys have bought your Valentine's Day gifts. Hope you're ready to go. Hope you're feeling good about yourselves. I don't know, whatever the fuck you need to hear. Good morning, Vietnam. There we go. We got some high alls. TikTok again, spelled the non-app version of things. Josh takes a few days off. Projections aren't updated. That's not Josh. That has nothing to do with that one. It is, in fact, completely a coincidence. And thank you for this one. Spags, the cutest NBA analyst out there. That's what I strive for, though. You must not be at Twitter at all because they literally just have attractive women covering the NBA who seemingly know nothing about the sport at all. And I don't say that. Like, I'm very much pro-female broadcaster. There's a lot of them out there that do a great job. There are also a lot of them on social media now that just, like, legit don't know sports, don't know betting, and just make up betting handles. I don't even know what's going on. I don't know who's feeding them the info or what. A lot of weird shit on Twitter, which is no surprise to anybody out there who exists on the internet. Top projected players, though, maybe a surprise here today for the top projections. Nobody above 50 fantasy points in this slate. So it is a shorter slate here. We also have a good amount of Q tags at this point. Actually, I should pull up the Q tag tweet because we do have enough Q tags to justify reading it off one more time here. Let me go to it. Hold on. Q tag tweet for the day. Anthony Edwards, of course, presented by Underdog, the Q tag tweet of the day. Kyrie Irving, Bam Adebayo, Rudy Gobert, Klay Thompson, Mike Conley, Dante Exum, probable Duncan Robinson. Out for the day as well. Going to be some of the key Rockets. Tari Eason being out. Steven Adams seemingly not out. Jazz guys seemingly not out, but they're not in the data set. We'll talk about that as we go. I think those are the main ones right now. Kawhi out, I guess, if that matters for you. Not a big surprise for that one. But basically how we're going right now. Anyway, top projected player for the day right now, according to me, Anthony Edwards. So an important one if he goes. If he goes, I will play him a good amount as I have pretty much every slate since Randall and DiVincenzo have been out. Anthony Edwards averaging about 38% usage without those two guys on the court. Without Conley on the court, it gets closer to 40%. Anthony Edwards, 10% rebound rate, 25% assist rate, 1.4 fantasy points a minute, and about 760 possessions without Randall and without DiVincenzo this year. So on this slate, and to me, would be a preferred play. That said, the projection, not so much higher than Kyrie Irving, who's also questionable. Not so much higher than SGA Sabonis, that I'm getting him a crazy amount. Fields at 20%, Anthony Edwards. I got 19. I think later today, I might get a little bit more when I kind of work things around a little bit, but it feels like a kind of flat top projected player day today where nobody stands out terribly well. Anthony Edwards, I do like because of the priors and in general how he does play without having some of the key high usage guys out there. I like Randall in particular, but also DiVincenzo. Not having those guys in the lineup matters. They're facing OKC. If he does play today, he's going to find some tough defense. But he's also probably the way that they would hang in there versus OKC in a spot where they are currently and 8-point dog at home. Feels like that spread would be bigger if Anthony Edwards weren't going to go. So I'm team Anthony Edwards today. He'll see some tough defense, but if you do hang in there, you have a shot maybe of having that Anthony Edwards SGA duel in the spot. And at the very least, I like Edwards' chances of kind of keeping, doing his part to keep the T-Wolves competitive against the Thunder team that's frankly just infinitely better. Really, that's true of most teams in the league. The Thunder are just better than most people. Like the Heat were up, I think, 10 points, might have been 9-10 points, somewhere in that range. The Thunder proceeded to go on a 25-point run and won that game. Just the Thunder are just a menace right now. Like, I still think you play guys against them in the hopes that you hang into those games, because when you do have teams that hang in versus the Thunder, like the players tend to have really good outlier performances. Like even guys, like Jordan Poole have kind of crested towards a spot where it's like, all right, well, if they're playing well, if he kept playing well for 4 quarters, you've actually had a pretty good fantasy day. So for a guy like Anthony Edwards, who at this point has the entire Minnesota offense at his hands, it comes to the risk of that. They're going to send 2 defenders at him. They're going to try to trap him. They're going to make it hard on him. But if he does start getting shots going, if he does get to the rim, if he does get a bunch of threes going, get some shots up there, I think Ant's really an important play for me on the slate. He'd scored 8 points in the fourth quarter. I actually didn't even know that, but that's terrible. Edwards went 10 for 20, 33 yesterday. Hurt my heart. Well, that's the thing is like, and this has been the case, honestly, for a few slates this week where if you see the guys getting shots, like fundamentally the play is not wrong. Obviously, you want your guys to hit shots. Like that's sort of what we're generally striving for here. But in general, I'm not surprised when, guys miss shots sometimes. But you get the usage, you get 30 shots. That's the main thing to look at here. Because God forbid if you hit 20 of those 33 shots, then you're looking at, a slate-breaking DFS performance. So it is heartbreaking to see the guys not hit the shots when they get them, but at the same time, the guy getting that volume of shots, like people just see the result at the end of the day. They don't see how many attempts the guy took to get there, and if things run well, which, odds of that happening versus Thunder aren't the highest, to be totally candid. But you want to take the shot that he somehow beats the Thunder defense. Thunder 2, game before the All-Star break, maybe motivation not as high. You never know. Kyrie Irving, my number 2 guy, as I mentioned earlier, he's questionable. Played 40 minutes yesterday versus Golden State, so seems to me like a spot where Kyrie's sitting would be logical here. Fields at 17%. I'm getting 13 right now, so no big stand here. That's basically it. We got SGA 1% owned for the field. I got none. The projection doesn't look that good to me. Getting Holmgren back in and the price tag being up for SGA is pretty tough. That said, when you see a 5-game slate and you see all the top owned guys here, or top projected guys rather, all being appropriately owned, maybe Tyler Hero being your one exception, not too much ownership there. Steph Curry 5%. There's a few guys that are lesser owned, but SGA at 1%. Well, we know he has 70 fantasy point upside. We know as well that there is a world where he and Anthony Edwards can be going head-to-head trading buckets for at the very least the fourth quarter of a competitive game. I think SGA at 1% feels a little bit low owned, and if you're playing a 150 set, I would take shots. You're playing a 20 set, maybe trying to get 1 or 2 SGAs in because it is a 5-game slate, I think wouldn't be crazy. The projection looks like shit at 11K, but like nobody's going to want to pay this 11K is basically it. You have nobody on the slate priced in 5 figures besides SGA, and then he's priced not even in the 10K range, he's priced at 11. So like there's sort of a push-pull there. Do expect Chet Holmgren to get a little more usage today because the Minnesota thing going to matter to him, I guess, being back in his home state. Whatever. Seems like there's enough media stuff around it that it seems like it'll be a little bit of a thing. Doesn't mean SGA can't have a good day, though, and it's sort of what I would say for that. But a really awful projection, really awful price tag for SGA is really the main thing. Domantas Sabonis, 21% of the field. I'm getting 16. No real big feelings there. I didn't give anybody a rate boost for Sacramento. Feel like, as we talked about on the show enough times, Levine's usage is there at a certain point. Think things stabilize. So Sabonis has, so far been the big winner in terms of usage. I think it's at about 24% usage and change, would be the high on the team for the Kings since they traded for Levine. But still not really a spot to me where I think Sabonis is like somebody I want to tweak my rates too much and get too much of. I think he's a good play at 21% ownership. Same for me, getting him at 16 in my top 150. James Harden first. James Harden, no Kawhi Leonard, obviously helps things out a bit. We've seen James Harden be around this 9K price tag enough with Kawhi Leonard out this year. So obviously Kawhi's, hasn't missed more than a few games in case you haven't been paying attention. But at this point for James Harden, I think he's at an okay price tag. Don't think it's a huge value. Think he projects well. Don't think he's a great projection play. So I'm getting him at 11%, Fields at 25. I could get more. I could get less. It really wouldn't drive me too crazy either way. Kerr said he isn't sure what the veterans will play, but the spread is -2. Do you think that's, or I guess 2 favoring them? Do you think it's a low minute game for the starters? I don't think it'd be a low minute game if they're going to play, unless they got smoked. But Golden State, I see it as the 6-point spread favoring Houston here. So yeah, no, that's a little bit of a difference there, unless you're looking at an old line. 6-point spread favoring Houston. It doesn't feel like Curry, Butler, and Draymond sitting, I would think, for a 6-point spread, because Houston's actually a good team. Golden State is more, in my mind, a middle of the pack team in terms of the betting markets. They had an issue. They complained about their flight because of the timing, and basically, like, they had to leave early in the morning. Steve Kerr was bitching about, and the game's at 8:45 or whatever. It's ironic, though. He's like, the game starts at 8:45. Fucking tip-off is at 8:30, I believe. Like, 8:45 to them. So basically, like, they're mad about the fact it's like an earlier game coming from West Coast timing, I guess, because they played in Dallas yesterday, which is not West Coast timing, but they're coming from the West Coast to play in Dallas to then play in Houston. I don't know. They could sit, they could not sit. The fact that they haven't been ruled out yet would make me think they're probably not going to sit, but I don't think, have we gotten the Golden State injury report? I don't believe we did before the show. I don't think they were in the 3:30. They have Kuminga out, who's been kind of a stalwart there, but they haven't given a full updated injury report with any Q tags or anything. So it could change, but who knows? Crimea River Kerr. I mean, look, in the NBA where you have so many people trying to operate amongst the edges, I get why you'd bitch about it. We got Tyler Hero, Trey Murphy, the next tier of guys here. Trey Murphy looking a lot better to me. I have him at a 46 fantasy point projection compared to Stokastic's 40. Zion Williamson out here is a big thing when you take Williamson. When you take DeJounte Murray off the court, Brandon Ingram as well. Obviously, your key Pelicans that at this point Two of them, not former Pelicans. One of them a former Pelican. One, it feels like, I don't know, DeJounte Murray going to be there long-term, I guess. Zion feels like any day now going to be a former Pelican. With those guys off the court, though, Trey Murphy's averaged 1.23 fantasy points per minute. CJ McCollum's averaged 1.3. But giving these guys a rate boost, I got Trey Murphy a lot more naturally than CJ McCollum. Either way, though, I think playing McCollum, playing Murphy feels like a pretty good option. If they're going to be around this much owned, 15% for Murphy, McCollum down here at 9%. These guys gain a lot by not having Zion out there. So the Pelicans today, the team total for them is at, just want to see where they are relative to the normal stuff. So 112.5 implied points. They're 8.5 point dog here. The 233.5 total in that game is the highest on today's slate. So look, it's not a bad spot to go to Murphy and McCollum. They both feel kind of under-owned to me. Murphy, though, does project a lot better, but I think functionally they're kind of the same play, with Murphy being 8,200 and McCollum being 7,900. Bruce Brown in play? I don't think so. Stokastic is not giving him much of the minutes projection now. I didn't see what he played yesterday. Played 26. Came in for Zion initially. He might be more in play than Stokastic gave him minutes-wise. Stokastic gave him 22.3 minutes, which makes him look like not really an option. At his price tag, I think he wouldn't be a great play no matter what. And he runs into the bigger issue, which is like the New Orleans guys are going to gun for the most part for not having Zion in there. That's been the case for the entire time period that these guys are out. But really, like the day before the All-Star break, no Zion, and you have Murphy and McCollum, they're going to take a lot of possessions away. Bruce Brown's average 0.84 fantasy points a minute. He'd probably need to get you to like 30 minutes to feel good. If he were a starter, I would take the shot, but I think it's more likely Carlo Makovich gets the start. And if that's the case, I don't think that Bruce Brown is really the move. So I'd say if he's off the bench, no. If he starts, maybe. And Bam probably will sit. I don't think you'd say that. It's a left knee contusion on the injury report. They certainly can sit him, but if Hero's going to go, I think, I don't know. I don't really have a lean on it. Bam's a 50% chance to play according to Unabated, but all these guys can go, they can not go. It's going to come down to a lot of the team's whims / the players' whims. I'm not going to really speculate that much about it. We got Bam Adebayo here, 10% for the field, 24% for me. Şengün, 28% for the field, 26% for me. Really no big stands at center here. Really no big stands overall until we get down here more. So the issue for the Jazz right now is that in Stokastic's projection set, they have Markkanen, Kessler, and John Collins all not playing. Jordan Clarkson's been officially ruled out. Normally, those guys would not play in a back-to-back situation for Utah. They're not in the injury report right now. They're also not in the projection set currently. So as a result, getting more Keontae George than we would get normally, getting more of the other Jazz guys than we get normally. I was debating before the show if I should just try to update the rotations for the Jazz being in. But Stokastic's usually pretty right about when they keep guys out. They're normally right about that when they do that early on. So that's the way it looks like right now for the Jazz. But if those guys are actually in, then Keontae George is going to come down a lot and look a lot like a much worse play at 6,300. It'll still be decent enough to take some shots on, but he won't be like as good of a play as he looks like here. Zubac looking okay. It's really nothing to highlight that's too exciting. Levine looking okay. I think that's sort of it from the projection overall view. Let's sort by value here. And again, yesterday we had some fun value open up after the show. I really don't see a ton of currently great value or particularly fun value like your Jared Butler. Obviously, that wasn't on the show, but the second that Tyrese Maxey got rolled out, you should have known that I would go to a lot of Jared Butler, given that I always go to Jared Butler. There's an opportunity to do so. That was an easy value play to plug in. Bull had a good enough day. Easy value play to plug in. There's nobody like that. The guy I think benefits the most today as a value is Haywood Highsmith. Stokastic had him projected for no minutes in the morning. He played about 15 yesterday, basically came in for the most part when Andrew Wiggins went out. So my thought is that it should be a Highsmith start today. It could be Duncan Robinson. That wouldn't shock me. It could be still probably be Davion Mitchell, no matter what, starting for Terry Rozier. But Highsmith, if he starts, is an okay value. So we got $3,100 for Haywood Highsmith. He's the only value I see right now. If he's announced as a starter, if he's not a starter, I don't think he's as good of a play. And it's possible that you get Duncan Robinson, Jaime Jaquez starting instead. Those guys will look a lot better. But right now, I think Highsmith has to play the forward minutes that basically are left behind from Wiggins because they don't seem to play those other guys. Like those guys fill in for Hero when he comes off the court. It's my thought, but we'll see how it looks when we hear the announcers. Watching Spags in the waiting room broke my foot. I'm sorry to hear that. Not very aloha for you, but hope you're doing okay. Cardio Highsmith, yeah, he doesn't do a whole lot, but there's really no value on the slate. So at 3,100, if he gets a start, I think you take your shots. Max Christie. So Max Christie, I'm getting a lot of here. He played a lot of minutes yesterday, barely left the court versus Golden State. Obviously, some of that could be his defense. And in fact, most that I expect it to be his defense. But he played 39 minutes yesterday. Stokastic has him in for 37.8 minutes right now. As I've talked about earlier, and he's basically hit that mark pretty much every game. He's putting up, a respectable about 0.9 to 1 fantasy point per minute when he's out there. Usage has gone up, rebound rate's gone up, assist rate's gone up. He's basically become kind of an unencumbered player, an unsevered player in the lineup right now. So if he's going to play high 30s minutes, and that could get even better if Kyrie is out, the opportunity for him, I think Max Christie is one of your better plays in the slate. So Stokastic has him for 28 projection here. I'm at 33.4. Again, goosing his rates for his court time on the Mavs so far. And that includes some court time with Anthony Davis. So I think for Max Christie, I think he's one of your better, not quite values. To me, he kind of like Quentin Grimes yesterday, a guy that I talked about briefly, ended up being more important when Maxey went out. He's that kind of play, like a 5K guy is going to give you high minutes, and it maybe not only gives you 60 fantasy points no matter what, but because he's out there so much, you should probably want to play him more. So Max Christie, to me, one of those plays at 5,200 that a quarter of the field will be there. I've got right now 3x the field. Probably you'll be closer to 50 to 75, but I think that looks like a pretty good number. Jose Alvarado, your Stokastic chalk of the day, 42% for him. Alvarado gaining opportunity because of not having Zion out there, at least theoretically. Alvarado also playing pretty decent minutes for New Orleans. Yesterday in that game that they also had versus Sacramento, we had Alvarado at 32.5 minutes picked to start as well. With no Zion Williamson out there, you'd expect him to probably keep the minutes the same. Doesn't gain a whole lot there. But getting the usage, getting the opportunity, core time without Zion, DeJounte Murray, and Brandon Ingram this year. We've seen Alvarado play at a 1.2 fantasy point per minute pace. That includes 21% usage and a 36% assist rate. Some of that court time was back in the days for the Pelicans where they had like no Murphy, no McCollum as well. So probably a little bit of a goose rate overall for how I'm looking at it. But still for Alvarado, big minutes, opportunities there. Again, same matchup. So for Jose Alvarado here, 42.4% ownership for the field. I got him at 71. And Keontae George, we talked about the Jazz. Again, the Jazz, I don't know how to project right now. Stokastic does think the guys play, but it does seem like Walker Kessler, Lowry, Markkanen, and John Collins will play. So we'll see how that looks in a bit. Christie's starting to grow on me as a Mavs fan, I won't lie. I mean, he's out there. He plays hard. Doesn't really fuck up. Good shooter. That's all stuff you're looking for. Sure, guy Tyler, do appreciate all you guys being here live. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Again, the goal before was to get to 1,000 subs for the All-Star break. Now we're just shy of 900, at least before the show. It's not going to happen, but your support goes a long way here for me. Just one dude running an NBA channel, running an NFL channel, doing the best I can every day to make sure I'm giving you good info. And unfortunately, sometimes, like yesterday, the info changes almost immediately after the show ends. That's the name of the NBA here every day. I will do the best I can when I'm here every single day. And please show some love back, subscribe, hit the like button, do all those things. And check out Unabated as well. $30 off the promo code SPLASH. I wouldn't be doing the shows if they didn't pay me for them. So please pay them for their products. Get better at betting. Win the $40,000 you could be winning if you tailed all their bets they give you as plus EV 30 minutes before tip-off. That's what you get in Unabated. So check them out. Unabated.com, promo code SPLASH on there for $30 off. DFS projections too are also cheaper on there if you just want to buy those. Sacramento, 121 implied points. New Orleans, 112.5 implied points. We got Josh, I'm muting you for that comment. Sorry, hold on, I got to mute Josh Frick for a second. And yes, make sure you sign up for Unabated. Good news, Lorenzo, at the end of the video, I give out my splash plays. You can usually guess by going through all the video, going through the things you see here. My data is what you're seeing on the screen, so would lead you to surmise that the data players I like the most are the ones that I'll probably like the most. We got Sacramento, 121 implied points. New Orleans, 112.5 implied points. Good amount of ownership projected goes Sacramento's way. All these guys are on 20% with Sabonis, Monk, and Levine. DeMar DeRozan a little bit less at 12%. Keegan Murray, same thing here. My biggest stand is on Zach LaVine, just hoping he gets right as he tries to integrate himself into the Sacramento offense. Still okay with Sabonis with where he is. Still think that Malik Monk is maybe worth this exposure the field's giving him. I'm not there. But I think these guys overall, very good play because of that high team total here against a soft New Orleans team. You can make the case for any of them. The reality, though, is that these guys all chop up usage. They all have a similar kind of probability of hitting a ceiling outcome. So I would say your DeRozan ownership equally as valuable as your Keegan Murray ownership. Keegan Ellis killed it last night. Wouldn't matter too much for me today. You do also have You have, what's his face? Markelle Fultz coming into the Kings locker room. Unclear if he'll actually make the rotation, but he's going to be available to play tonight. So that could maybe upset a guy like Keon Ellis's minutes a little bit, though I'm not sure why you would play the now journeyman, former number 1 pick over a guy in Keon Ellis who you're developing. But really, to me, Sacramento, really high total looks good. But unless you get somebody rolled out here, like I don't think these guys are as great of a play as the ownership seems to be congregating around, because you just have too many guys that, produce well enough. New Orleans on their side, 112.5 implied points here. No Zion, as I mentioned. Obviously, no Ingram anymore. No DeJounte Murray anymore for this year. As a result, these guys are all really playable in the spot here, going against a Sacramento team that defensively, middle of the pack in the league on this slate, technically one of the softer defenses that are going to be available. So New Orleans here, good amount of Trey Murphy, 37% of my top 150 compared to the field's 14. CJ McCollum, I'm lower on. I think in a perfect world, I would like to get like 25% to 30% of Murphy, 20% of McCollum, I think would feel good. But I think right now, Murphy and McCollum, to me, I'm in this spot. If they can't, keep it competitive with Sacramento, it's probably because Murphy and McCollum had a good day here because they're going to be your highest usage guys. So you also get some leverage on Alvarado with that, where Alvarado is, I think clearly a tertiary option on the seam. He's still going to play enough minutes that he's a good play. But like realistically, I got him in 71% of my lineups. I'd rather get closer to the field on Alvarado, get more McCollum, get more Murphy in the hopes that one of those guys has an outlier day that maybe kills some Alvarado lineups. That's what I would try to think about it. But for Murphy, McCollum, Alvarado, all going to be owned to different extents. And I do think trying to get some amount of these guys makes sense. Eve Missy, a quarter of the field to be playing. I got a 26% of my lineups as well, my top 150. Really for the New Orleans Pelicans at this point, I think that just not having Zion in there is really your main reason. So we'll go to these guys, as we talked about a lot here, just guys being out of rotation is the biggest thing that matters for NBA DFS. So play these guys, whichever ones you have a lean for. A lot of Alvarado ownership, which seems fair at 5K, but in reality, Murphy and McCollum hitting a ceiling is just your bigger likelihood. That's not, I think, owned enough for what it is on the slate. Golden State, 106 implied points. Houston, 112 implied points. Steph Curry, and these guys, assuming they go, this is what the projections look like right now. Certainly possible they get sat, but we have seen Steph play some back-to-backs lately. Butler playing reinvigorated. I did give the Warriors their rates so far since the Butler trade. They've played about, I think, 100 minutes now is where these guys are at. Really, because Butler has just looked like a different player overall. He's averaged 1.33 fantasy points per minute. Draymond has been at about 1 fantasy point per minute, had the good day yesterday, but still, I am fading Draymond here in my projections with the rates that he has. 19% for the field. I got him at 3%, getting a little bit more of Butler, a little bit less of Steph Curry. But Draymond, to me, he had the good day yesterday, so I think people will be really comfortable clicking it. But his rates are down with Butler out there. He's been averaging 15% usage, 22% assist rate. You can see here down a little bit in terms of assist rate from where he's been on the season. His rebound rate also down to 7%. Could be the luck of the bounce, but like you're talking about 7.1% compared to 11 on the year. I think Draymond is getting meaningfully affected by having Butler out there. And I think he got lucky to get the fantasy output he had yesterday. So I would avoid the Draymond chalk congregation, potentially here. Buddy Hield, I'm also not on. His rates have taken a dump as well, or taken a dive without Jimmy Butler. So at this point, for Buddy Hield, I would say that he and Draymond Green look over-owned to me. If you go with the older, the previous version of the rates, I think they're going to look better to you. But with how Jimmy Butler's been affecting things, these guys should come down a little bit. And granted, that could be small sample size, but Butler got paid. Like Butler, this is Butler's, it's not his team, but like he's now a key part of the team and he's playing like it. And I think that does affect things a little bit, especially compared to Jimmy Butler's previous usage on Miami, where he was clearly not the most motivated boy in the world. Victory lap Ramen Thompson take. Did it matter? Did he win? Did he win a lot of money? I didn't see him in any top lineups, but more power to you. Hope it makes you happy. What are we playing next week? We're playing Spags gets a few days off. I think it's what we're playing. Play Underdog best ball for NFL if you want. But I don't know. I put in 2 golf lineups this week because I got free tickets for the $25 tournament. It seems like the lineups are awful already. So not golf is what I'll say here. Houston, 112 implied points on their side. No Fred VanVleet. Seemingly, you are going to get Steven Adams. He was supposed to not play alongside Tari Eason. He's on the injury report. Has been something, though, to note sometimes where things get reported by a reporter and then the injury report comes out and it doesn't agree with it. And then it changes later on. It's like Steven Adams gets ruled out. But I would say that for Steven Adams here, he probably matters a little bit for some of your backup minutes for guys like Jeff Green, I guess. Maybe they gave a few more to Şengün here, but probably not at 31.9. I don't think Adams really affects things too much here. Cam Whitmore seems like he maybe soaked up some of the minutes from it. But nobody here looks like a good play that's going to look like a bad play if Adams goes. So I'm just going to highlight that here because the Adams thing matters. Amin Thompson here, who Jake is really stoked about. I'm happy for you, Jake. Just an odd, it's not a brave victory lap, Jake. I don't know what you're doing here, but congrats. What do you want me to say? 9% ownership for the field compared to 3% in my top 50 for Amin Thompson. The rates for Amin Thompson don't come up that much here. He averages 1.1 fantasy points per minute without the various Rockets missing today. And that's at about 900 possessions as well. So for him, I think he's an okay play here. He would, as you know, really like we talked about in general, when Şengün is chalky, playing Amin Thompson looks a little bit better. Inverse also true. Şengün is chalky, Amin Thompson is not, and the price tag's very similar. So you want to go to Amin Thompson, try to get your payout today, and be right about him. I don't know. Go to Amin Thompson. I just don't want to react to stuff like that. Sorry, I apologize to Jake. I appreciate your enthusiasm. It's just like, to me, the only thing I get excited about is like, oh shit, I won a lot of money. I don't know, like if you got shit right, it just doesn't fucking matter. That's how I feel. I got a lot of shit right in yesterday's slate. It didn't fucking matter. It was such a tough slate. NBA is tough. That's the unfortunate nature of the beast. I'm a cynical boy. I haven't played NBA too much. Jalen Green. You can play NASCAR? Yeah, sure. Go to NASCAR. We got Jalen Green here. 15% ownership for the field, 13% in the sim exposure. Jalen Green playing well, turned 23, celebrating with his 40-year-old girlfriend. I saw enough on social media. I'd say that for Jalen Green at this point. Always an okay play, has more of an upside, in particular with Van Vliet not being in. Priority play for me, though, not so much. Getting him with the field feels fine. Dylan Brooks a little bit more than the field. Cam Whitmore a little bit more than the field. But again, this could move around a little bit because of Steven Adams being in. Houston, to me, I think it's your top guys. Şengün looks great. And Thompson gets more appealing as a pivot play off of Şengün. Jalen Green always has the upside. If he goes nuts, he probably hurts Amin Thompson and Şengün a little bit. Basically, the way to view that. Everything else here, just kind of a play. And Whitmore is an okay value. Like, honestly, even if you get Adams in, Whitmore is going to look like an okay play at 4,300. And he has the usage to score a lot fast, but the minutes just aren't that great. OKC, 115 implied points. Minnesota, 107 implied points. We got a situation here for OKC where nobody looks that good in terms of ownership. Everybody under 10%. I would say Chet Holmgren, the minutes not quite high enough, 28 minutes for him. We got Chet Holmgren here. If you're celebrating Ant going 10 for 33, that's not Amin Thompson, man. That's Ant missing all of his shots like he's been doing the last couple of games. But I'm happy you're happy. I don't know what we're celebrating here. Chet Holmgren, I know we're celebrating. We're celebrating him going back to Minnesota. So for him at 2% owned, taking your shot at 7,300, maybe a little more motivation to get a few more blocks, maybe a little more usage flows his way in a game that just doesn't matter at this point for OKC, who is so far ahead of everybody else. We got Chet Holmgren at 2% owned. I'll highlight that here. Jalen Williams is like a pretty good price tag at 7,800. Obviously, if Holmgren has an outlier day, it does sort of pull from a secondary piece like Jalen Williams. Hartenstein, to me, not a day to play him when you get Holmgren back in. The price tag's not adjusted for it. SGA, we talked about, just too expensive at 11K. Still can play him. Because nobody's going to, but like, it's one that to keep in mind. I think this is an important DFS distinction. Sometimes guys are a good play because nobody's going to play him, and they're not really a good projection play. SGA, not a good projection play, but nobody's going to be on him because the price tag's too much. And you can get to 11K on the slate. Like, it's not really that much of a difference getting to high nines versus 11. So play SGA just for low ownership, but like in reality, he does project like shit. Okay, Keon Brooks smash. There he goes. I appreciate the immediate JK. Yeah, honestly, I really wish there were a 3K smash guy here. I wish I had Jake's enthusiasm for these plays today, but like a lot of these plays are kind of just plays today. Anthony Edwards, a guy that I do like a lot. As I mentioned, gave him a pretty big rate boost. Still only getting him in 19% of my lineups with that $9,600 salary. That said, he is really due for positive progression because he's had a crazy amount of usage his last few games. The shots have not fallen as well. I like Anthony Edwards overall at this ownership. I would not be too under the field at 20% if he does go. If Anthony Edwards is out, also you get the Alexander Walker start most likely alongside Dillingham. I'm assuming Conley doesn't go. If Conley is playing and Edwards is out, you get Conley and Alexander Walker starting, I would guess. But basically, everybody here is going to look better. Naz Reid will look better. He's not like, to me, he's not a good play at all. 13% ownership right now. I'm getting him at 7, but because Ant is vacating so much usage, so much opportunity, everybody here would look good, and I would take the most shots on Alexander Walker and Dillingham and Conley And if Conley's out, then Alexander Walker and Dillingham and McDaniels and Reed, like it's getting pretty consolidated at that point. Miami, 111.3 implied points. Yes, listen to CJ here. CJ's here with a broken foot, so please listen to the broken-footed man and hit the like button. It goes a long way for me here. Miami, 111. How have I gone this slowly on a 5-game slate? Fucking kill me. Miami, 111.3 implied points. Bam Adebayo, questionable. If he does go, though, I'm about 3x the field on him. Good spot here versus Dallas, by the way. Like, that won't be captured in the projections. You're facing a Dallas team with no big men. You have Gafford obviously out. You have Powell out. You have Anthony Davis out. You still have Lively out. Kyler Kelly, they don't seem to want to play. So basically, you're going to have bigs that Miami's going to play no matter what. In Adebayo, if he goes. In Ware, and if Ware, people ask about Ware. What's happening with Ware is that it's now a crowded starting group, and his minutes are getting jerked around a little bit. But he's still starting and playing backup center. I would say at this point for Miami, it's a good matchup for whoever's going to be starting big. If Bam goes, I think he's worth the exposure. If Bam sits, I think Ware is an absolute smash play at 6,100 because there isn't another big man to go to. Maybe at a certain point, Miami goes small, but Miami never likes to go small. But you have no Kevin Love here. Like they could go. Kyle Anderson hasn't been in the rotation, so I don't think they would go with him at center. You could go Jovic or Highsmith at center, I guess. But like if Adebayo's out, Ware's got to play probably 29-ish minutes, 30 minutes, I would guess. At the very least, if not mid-30s minutes. So right now for Miami, it looks like a Bam dominant team. If Bam is in, if Bam is out, everybody looks better. Tyler Hero, I'm going to get 9%. The field's at 4. Hero getting a pretty big rate boost because of the fact that the Heat are just down a lot of guys. Davion Mitchell playing big minutes here. If you want another value guy, Davion Mitchell played, I think, 33 minutes yesterday. I knocked him down a little bit to 32.5. He basically absorbed a shitload of minutes because of not having Rozier in. He played 34.8 minutes yesterday, so played a lot. I think that Mitchell is unfortunately not a good per minute player, but the court time looks good for him. So he is one of your few passable values. But the Heat guys right now with Bam in, nobody stands out meaningfully. You have minutes to play with here for sure. But really none of them look that good. And Alec Burks, what it's worth, I think with some of the guys in, where was he yesterday? Absolutely blank. Because I looked up Alec Burks before the show. And I think he played... No, he played more than I thought. He played 28 minutes yesterday. But because of getting Robinson and Jaquez back in, I think Burks moves back down because he's been behind those guys in the rotation. That's an assumption, though. Stokastic may view it differently. But I would say just keep that in mind here right now. Like Burks may be a little bit of a better play. And frankly, he might take minutes that I gave to Duncan Robinson, and that wouldn't be good for anybody. So Miami right now with Bam in, just need some things to clear up here a little bit more. Dallas, we got 109.8 implied points here on their side. Kyrie Irving questionable right now. If he is out, everybody's going to look like a better play. As it is, we talked about before, getting a lot of Max Christie. Minutes have been there for him. Rates have gone up for him. Klay Thompson, I don't know why he would play after playing 30 minutes yesterday as well as an older player, but his rates also taking a jump up because of the fact you have no PJ Washington. All the bigs are out. If Kyrie were out too, like Klay is probably just going to get shots up. They won't be good, but he'll get shots up. Najee Marshall playing enough minutes. Like Dallas, to me, probably your most appealing team in terms of the field's ownership and mine. Max Prosper, Olivier Maxis Prosper. Not a exciting play. Only played 24 minutes yesterday, but if you got Kyrie out, maybe there's some way that there's a trickle down for him to get a few more minutes. Brandon Williams, if Kyrie's out. If Kyrie's in, no. I wouldn't play Brandon Williams. At this point, you need Kyrie to be out to this kind of crystallize. Exum's minutes haven't been high enough. Obviously, he's always going to get injured, so that's probably part of that. I would say for Dallas at this point, they look like they're worth a lot of ownership right now. If Kyrie's out, they're going to look like they're worth a lot more ownership. Except for Dinwiddie, who I don't think is going to project well. He would need to start, and even then, I think he's losing something to Klay Thompson and Max Christie lately. The only Discord I have right now is through the Splash Play NFL channel, which at some point I'll add to this YouTube channel too. But yeah, it's on the @Splash Play Pod if you want to add on there, but I don't have a free Discord. So you got to pay a YouTube membership and then you get a VIP one added automatically. And Pete Overs, that's Deposit Kingdom. Clippers, 117.3 implied points here. Utah, 107.8 implied points. For Zubac here, he's chalky, getting him above the field. Norman Powell by a little bit. Norman Powell, he's chalky, getting him with the field. Low on Harden, as we talked about, really no big reason why. I think he looks good, having that 1.4 fantasy points a minute, but at 9,200, not a play I'm getting to naturally too much. Amir Coffey got downgraded to a Q tag. He would actually be a popular value play today, projected to play 22 minutes. If he is out, I think you get more minutes. I don't know. Ben Simmons might play a good amount. Bogdanovich is on a minutes limit as well. Guess you could start playing Batum again. Play him a few more minutes. But basically, I would guess Coffey's minutes get split up between Simmons, Bogdanovich, and Batum would be my guess. I don't think there's one big winner here. But Coffey being out actually does matter, unfortunately. Chris Dunn, I'm not getting it all here. Fields at 24%. I got 3%. Projection just doesn't look good enough for me to get there. I don't foresee loving Chris Dunn. I guess he would also get maybe some trickle down of minutes from Coffey being out. But really, your key guys are where the ownership should go. Harden, Zubac, Powell, go with that. Everybody else here, I think, are just guys. Dunn can go off. It doesn't matter. The rates are still the rates. Like, he's still not a good player overall. I wouldn't chase a guy going off one night, personally, ever. That's that. And Utah, we talked about here. Right now, the projection set has Markkanen, Kessler, and Collins out. If those guys are in, everybody comes down here. If those guys are out, Keontae George looks good. Steve McKay looks good. He's always a really big win when Markkanen is out. Sometimes picks up starts. Just gets up a lot more shots overall, though, if he does start or not. Micah Potter would not really be a play, but these guys would all be kind of in the hunt to be played based upon who starts and who doesn't. But I really would greatly favor Keontae George, greatly favor Steve McKay if Markkanen, Kessler, and Collins were out. If Markkanen, Kessler, and Collins were in, I'll probably get some Collins, but nothing else will look appealing, is my thought. All right, let's go to Unabated now, guys. Should be probably a fast one because there's enough Q-tag players in the slate that I don't think we're going to have a ton of projections. But let's watch this video, learn about Unabated now. Let's get through the home stretch of this video with our best bets and our top DFS sim lineups. Let's look at it right now. Underdog, now he's at Unabated, doing the Lord's work every day, creating these projections for you guys. Dynamic projections, rule guys in, rule guys out. They have different projection sets no matter who is questionable and who's not questionable. They have those for you every day. Today, there's a lot of them, fortunately, for a 5-game slate. Real-time news, the Badge Bros run that on screen, which actually is very smart of them. Your real-time news updates, and actually can confirm today in particular, they're faster than Underdog's Twitter alerts by a wide margin. Respect to Underdog. And graphs, of course, you get graphs no matter what. Discord, you want a Discord, get on there. You're a paying member. And of course, you can chat your day away, and you'll be counting your money in a moment here, and that appears on screen with Unabated. Unabated.com/NBA, promo code SPLASH. Check it out. If you want this show to continue on, we got to keep Unabated happy. We got a happy hubby, happy life, whatever. And fortunately, we can't fuck Unabated or feed it food to make it happy. The only way that Unabated's happy is if you guys sign up down below, Unabated.com, promo code SPLASH. Click the link in the description and do it. Check it out for yourself. You can see this graph here. This is a graph of every bet that exists 30 minutes before tip-off, a 5% or higher sim ROI. And if you're placing $100 units that entire time period, you would be up quite literally about $38,000, close to $40,000. If you're placing $10 units, you'd be up almost $4,000. That's how Unabated works. And they backtest their data and they show you it here. It's not just bullshit by some dude on Twitter going, trust me, I have all the locks. So check it out for yourself. Unabated will change your life in betting. And that is a legit promise here. That is not just advertisers speak. And again, you can't fillet them until they're happy. Unabated's only happy with more money going in. So please give it money. Your conditional projection sets for today. You got Bam Adebayo, Amir Coffey, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Kyrie, Klay Thompson. So we won't be seeing Dallas in the sim we're going to run here. We won't see Minnesota. We won't see the Clippers. And we won't see Miami. But we will see everybody else here. And we will also see their tasty ROIs therein. Make sure to pull them in before we sort. All right. Jonas Valanciunas over 6.5 points on PrizePicks, looking very soft there. 17.6% EV for Jonas Valanciunas. On DraftKings Sportsbook, 14.6% EV for over 6.5 for Joe Val. And on FanDuel, 12.6% EV for Joe Val as well. So Underdog pulled the line already, as they love to do. But PrizePicks, DraftKings, FanDuel, Jonas Valanciunas over 6.5 rebounds. Looking good wherever you can get it. Amin Thompson under 17.5 points. I hope Jake doesn't get sad in chat. So he's like, oh no, I've backed Amin Thompson and now here's EV on the under. Amin Thompson, 12.2% EV. I don't know what we're celebrating. I don't know what we're mad about. Under 17.5 PRAs. or actually points, excuse me, for Amin Thompson here. Minus 115 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook gets you 12.2% EV. PrizePicks 10.9% EV. Is it on FanDuel? Yes, playable on FanDuel as well. 9% EV on under 16.5. So Amin Thompson gets the grand slam. Play him anywhere for under 17.5 points. Brandon Pajemski. Sorry, Jake. You make anybody that gives me a way to make some content to fill the air, the dead air along the way, unfortunately, just becomes a focal point. I really do make it dangerous to come into chat some days, and I apologize for it, even though I don't really. 9-11, never forget. That's your EV here. Never forget your expected value for Brandon Pajemski under 11.5 points here. 9.1% EV. You probably don't want anywhere else though. So Pajemski on FanDuel minus 120 odds under 11.5 points. We got Dylan Brooks under 14 points, 7.8% EV on PrizePicks. Looking good here. It's the day before All-Star break, Larry. I can sense time off on the horizon. You got Dylan Brooks looking good here, under 14 points on PrizePicks. Steph Curry under 25.5 points, 6.7% EV on FanDuel. If he doesn't play, good news. It won't count. You'll get voided. But Steph Curry under 25.5 points, about 7% EV. Playable on PrizePicks Underdog as well, where it's lower on 25.5 points. Good for 5.5% EV. Alperen Şengün over 19.5 points. That line's inefficient right now on FanDuel. 5.9% EV for Şengün over 19.5 points, minus 102 odds. And we got Draymond Green here. We got 6% EV for him over 7.5 points, plus 104 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Best bets for points. Now we're going to do rebounds. Check them out. Hey, you know what? I don't think I said fuck the chats, but I love the chat. That's one of the reasons I only do live content, is the chat is a big part of the show here. But, you know, to be clear, you got muted for saying you get me to 1,000 subs, implying that there's something that you would do, Josh, which I can't. I know, Josh, there's nothing you can do besides showing your titties, which granted, I know does work for some people out there, I'm sure. I do have last before vacation. I'm just excited to not do data prep for a few days. So I feel that. The thing is, like, and then I won't do it for a few days, and I'm like, I wish I had something to gamble on. I wish I could do some data prep. So that's how it is. We got Trey Lyles here, under 3.5 rebounds for him, 61.4. Wow, that's stupid. That's a stupid amount of EV for Trey Lyles. Take this one, please. It seems like that's wrong. Under 3.5 rebounds for Trey Lyles on PrizePicks, 61.4. We've never seen one that high on stream. That's crazy. Brandon Pajemski over 4.5 rebounds, 18.1% EV. That's like crazy high too, for the record, on DraftKings Sportsbook at minus 135 odds. But not 61% high. Pajemski over 4.5 rebounds, also good on FanDuel. The minutes are there for him, so Pajemski over 4.5 rebounds on your regular sports books. Jimmy Butler under 5.5 rebounds, 11.1% EV for Jimmy Butler today on FanDuel Sportsbook plus 112 odds. Not available on your Pick'ems, or not looking good enough on your Pick'ems or on DraftKings. DeMar DeRozan over 3.5 rebounds, minus 102 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, gets you 8.4% EV, but you probably don't want anywhere else. Buddy Hield over 3.5 rebounds, minus 110 odds on FanDuel, gets you 8.3% EV. Bettable and Underdog as well, where it's over 3.5 or higher on 3.5 rebounds there for Buddy Hield. Keon Ellis under 3.5 rebounds. Good to go on PrizePicks and Underdog. Under 3.5 on there. Gets you 7.5% EV. DraftKings Sportsbook 6.6% EV as well for under 3.5 on Keon Ellis. Again, the minutes might be also a little bit high here, because if Fultz gets any minutes here, it probably does pull from Keon Ellis directly, would be my guess. And Keegan Murray under 6.5 rebounds. Minus 110 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. It's you 7.2% EV, and you probably don't want the other bets. Let's go to assists next. DFS sim coming up. A deeper dive on Stokastic. I will be on today with my pal Eric Lindquist once again. Feel like we had a really good show yesterday, so hopefully we can run that back one more time. And that's coming up at 6 p.m. Eastern today. So if you want to watch that one, it's a late NBA slate today, which I should have said in the video. Starts at 8 p.m. Tip-off today, so keep that in mind. It's going to fuck up my entire night schedule here with getting Luka to bed and whatever, but who knows? we'll figure it out. Isaiah Hartenstein over 2.5 assists. 19.6% EV for Hartenstein. Over, really? Surprised to see any Hartenstein overs, to be honest, at this point. But maybe the line's a little bit too soft because of having Holmgren in here is a possibility. Over 2.5 assists for Hartenstein, minus 154 odds on FanDuel, getting about 20% EV. And then Hartenstein line also bettable on DraftKings, over 2.5 there at minus 166. It's a lot of juice for a bet, but still a really high EV. Jimmy Butler, PrizePicks line there looking good, 14.5% EV. You can take it on DraftKings where it's a rounded up 5% as well for Jimmy Butler under 5.5 assists. Rates have been up for him for Golden State. I'd be careful with your Jimmy Butler unders. Domantas Sabonis, 12% EV on PrizePicks for him. Looking good there. Also good on DraftKings Sportsbook, 11% EV for Sabonis under 5.5 assists at plus 114. FanDuel as well under 5.5 at plus 112. So PrizePicks, DraftKings, and FanDuel under 5.5 assists or under 6 assists for Domantas Sabonis. Looking good on all the above. Steph Curry under 5.5 assists on PrizePicks gets you 9.7% EV. Jose Alvarado over 6.5 assists gets you 7.4% EV at plus 100 odds. Bruce Brown under 2.5 assists. And for what it's worth, Bruce Brown projected to play 23 minutes by Unabated right now. 6.7% EV for Bruce Brown today under 2.5 assists on DraftKings Sportsbook. And last but not least for assists, Dillon Brooks. Bet him on your pick'em sites. 6.1% EV for Dillon Brooks under 1.5 assists today on Underdog and on PrizePicks. And PRAs, last but not least, guys, hit the like button for PRAs. Let me hit the sim button first. Okay, guys, hit the like button for PRAs. Look at the sims going here. Only on this channel do you get beautifully simmed out expected values here. Badge Bros convert like motherfuckers on their channel, and they don't give this away. I give this away for free every day, guys. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe there's a lesson in there about not putting out. But I put out here on stream every day, guys, so please check out Unabated. You want some more bets next week? You want something to gamble on? Check their market-based data for the other sports they have, like college basketball, NHL, WNBA. I mean, these ones aren't available, but these ones here, you can still bet next week with Unabated. Are your PRA bets here? We got Amin Thompson under 32.5 PRAs, minus 105 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Gets you 10.7% EV. We got Jake LaRavia over 6.5 PRAs for him. That one's good to go in Underdog. 9% EV for Jake LaRavia, who's back in the Kings rotation, or is in the Kings rotation after moving on from Memphis. We got Steph Curry under 35.5 PRAs, 8.4% EV on PrizePicks and Underdog. Bettable as well for Steph Curry on DraftKings and on FanDuel. Grand slam for Steph Curry here under 35.5 PRAs on every platform. And that'd be a bet too, where I think there's a little bit of EV there for people in the chat are asking before, where like if Steve Kerr did call off the dogs early, Steph Curry unders a little bit more appealing. Jimmy Butler under 30.5 PRAs. Not really any rocket science there, but like there's a chance that they start that game. Houston, as a young athletic sprite team, beats up on the vets on a back-to-back who played a lot of minutes yesterday. And Steve Kerr's like, well, fuck it. So like I think I could see the EV here for the basketball logic as well for Steph Curry today. Same thing for Jimmy Butler under 30.5 PRAs, about 7% EV on FanDuel Sportsbook at minus 111 odds. Bettable as well on PrizePicks and Underdog, where it is a rounded up 5% EV. Trey Murphy under 34.5 PRAs. I love him for DFS tonight. Sad to see that. But 5.8% EV for Trey Murphy under 34.5 PRAs on FanDuel Sportsbook. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, over 40.5 PRAs looks profitable today, or theoretically profitable. 5.3% EV on DraftKings Sportsbook for SGA over 40.5 PRAs. That is too many. It's too many acronyms. SGA PRAs, kill me. I've asked you to kill me too many times in the stream for the record. Zach LaVine, this one's not really bettable. We'll read it anyway. We started. Zach LaVine under 31.5 PRAs. If you need one more to round out a card on PrizePicks and Underdog, you can with Zach LaVine here. 4.4% EV, a little bit lower than the 5% we now know has the back-tested results from Unabated. But still, you can bet it. That's true. I ain't prude. I put out here on stream every day, whether it's me or one of my puppets. Like I have so many. I have one puppet. Somebody's putting out here on stream every day. That's the promise. All right. 5,000 lineups here on Stokastic. Let's build our DFS lineups here. If you want more bets, check out Unabated. Of course, the conditional projections. If you were to know that somebody got ruled out, immediately hop in Unabated. Switch the conditional projections on or off. It is a great tool to make you better at betting, and it is run by real bettors who actually win money doing this. Started by pro bettors and people that actually do this shit real. People that won't go on Twitter Spaces and be baffled by the concept of edge. That is what you'll get Unabated. And of course, Stokastic, 15% off. Buy a weekly membership for yourself. I don't know. Probably not a good day to buy a Stokastic membership. Buy a NASCAR one. That'd be pretty cool. Buy some PGA Showdown data with Stokastic. It's all 15% off. Probably wouldn't buy for NBA though today. I feel like I'd be doing you a disservice if I lied to you and said, yeah, pay for NBA and then don't get any data for a week. So I'll be real with you guys here. Looks like Stokastic has not updated their data since this morning yet, so that's fair. Unfortunately, that means that the Jazz guys are still going to be out in this data set, and whatever else I changed, which I already forget. I had to change the Miami rotation because they had Wiggins in, I think, or something weird like that. There's going to be a few things that are weird, but we'll highlight it as we go. You'll still get a read here. And of course, this is all Stokastic data. No, me not influencing it at all, just what they're Their data provides, so keep that in mind here. I hope all is well, Ricky. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate all you guys watching live. And, one more quick ask, subscribe, hit the like button. Let's go a long way from here. Appreciate about 180 people watching the day before All-Star break. Of course, that's probably because a lot of people aren't doing streams yet with the later slate. I get it. But I am here every Monday to Friday when there's NBA slates. There won't be one tomorrow, but Monday to Friday every day, doing the best I can, showing you my data, comparing it to Stokastic, looking at unabated stuff. We're trying to make it better. I'm going to think about it too. If you have any feedback for this little break as well, leave it in the comments, not the chat, leave it in the comments after the video, because I'm going to be looking at everything with trying to approach it with fresh eyes to see if there's anything I think that's not working that I need to change here. So I'm going to be looking at it a little bit over the break. And I'm probably going to try to get memberships going and possibly my projections, I think, because enough people have asked about it that I might try to do that for a membership fee. But we'll see. We'll see what we do. Hey, thank you, Ricky. Very kind. Hey, kindness in chat, I'll always reciprocate it. That's the one thing I'll give you. Excitement about DFS plays, maybe less so. I guess I'm not as good at that. But kindness in chat, that I can pay back. Jose Alvarado here, your top ROI lineup with Stokastic. Alvarado, CJ McCollum, Cam Whitmore, Nikola Jovic, Yves Missy, Keontae George, who again is getting a pretty big boost up from Stokastic because it's missing the projection set, Lowry, Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler. But Keontae George in this lineup, Zach LaVine, Alperen Şengün. So the one really fragile part, I think, is Keontae George here. Everything else looks pretty good to me. Jose Alvarado, Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, Draymond Green. Caution about Jimmy Butler and his impact on Draymond, but for DFS, sure. Yves Missy, Mike Conley, Cam Whitmore, Domantas Sabonis. We got Mike Conley here, not a player that I think matters that much, but obviously he is on a Q tag, so keep that in mind. Jose Alvarado, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Williams, Draymond Green, Yves Missy, Keontae George, Max Christie, Kyle Filipowski. We got Jose Alvarado at number 4, Klay Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Draymond Green, Yves Missy, James Harden, Nikola Jovic, Domantas Sabonis. At number 5, Mike Conley again, CJ McCollum, DeMar DeRozan, Draymond Green, Yves Missy, Keontae George, Cam Whitmore, Alperen Şengün. I think really the only thing that I have a question about, because I think it's the data not being updated to reflect Utah's uncertain status, is Keontae George right now not being in these lineups. Like, I think he's getting too big of a boost because he looks great to me as well if you take like the other Jazz stars out. But if those guys are in, I think Keontae George comes down. Everybody else, it seems credible enough. It is a good amount of Cam Whitmore. It's a good amount of Cam Whitmore. Why would I possibly know that offhand? This is why you get muted, Josh, just for the record. I don't know what it was. I know I won back half the money I put in. This is what I know on a given slate. Besides that, I don't know. But you know what, Josh? Just for you, I'll look it up because you fucking drive me nuts. Like, what a stupid fucking question to ask. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. My best lineup was in the 4-point play yesterday, and it scored 333.5, and it was top 1,000. It was number 968. Does that help? Does that provide the value you were looking for? Okay. Sick. You know what, man? I can't. You are so close. I think it's now cute annoying me, but we're getting close, Josh. We're getting close. Your top ROI players, according to Stokastic data here, again, needs an update, but this is where it is right now in this data set. Kenrich Williams, number 1. Wait, no, this is backwards. Sorry, that would be fucking insane. Kyle Filipowski, number 1. That's also insane. That's not better. This is not going to hold, but they have Filipowski, number 1, if you do get the Jazz players out. What was my average? How much salary did I leave on the table in my average lineup? Fucking knows. I couldn't even tell you my exposures, and I labor over those. Looking ridiculous. Cam Whitmore, 10% ROI for him. So this is probably your top credible one. Adams being in could squeeze Whitmore's minutes just a little bit, but the usage is there for him. He's 4,300. I get Cam Whitmore being here. Yves Missy, nobody's going to squeeze his minutes at center. No Zion in, opens up some more rebounds, open up some more usage, some more shots at the rim. So Yves Missy, 5,200, 4% ROI here. Cody Williams, that'll go down if you get the Jazz key guys in, so let's skip over it. Same thing for Keontae George. Klay Thompson, assuming that he plays, he has a Q tag right now. I don't know why he would play without Kyrie. That feels batshit based on how NBA teams work. But if he were to play without Kyrie, he would look like a much better play because there's just so much usage to go around. He's going to probably get up some ill-advised shots, but get up some shots. If he doesn't play, then obviously it doesn't matter. So with Kyrie in, he looks pretty good, and then you'll know the team is going full go, and that'll be okay. If Kyrie's out and Klay plays, he's going to look like a much better projection play, but the odds of the Navs getting smoked and a guy like Klay getting sat is a lot more likely. Let's see. So that's basically it for Klay Thompson. There's just a lot of caveats to give for him popping up here. Draymond Green, I've given the reasons why I don't agree with that quite as much, but he's popping up here as a top ROI player. You just missed me going off the rails. When in doubt, that's always going to be the case. Nobody said anything too crazy. I just react as I do. You know, we tried it. This is the way I have fun. Hopefully it's fun for you guys. If it isn't, I don't know. Keontae George. A lot of Keontae George. Again, this is going to change because of the Jazz guys with 77% right now. And Stokastic's top 150 lineups compared to the field's 32. Alvarado, this probably won't change. He's going to be good value no matter what. 73% in the top 150 for Alvarado compared to 43%. So Alvarado at 5K looks like Stokastic's preferred quote-unquote value play. On this slate, I guess he would count for that. He's not really value in terms of like the 3K-ish guys we've been getting spoiled by lately. Eve Missy, 66% compared to 28, so over 2x the field on Eve Missy for Stokastic. Cam Whitmore, 57% compared to 17, so that's a 3x stand there as well over that. So Cam Whitmore, if you get Steven Adams out, I'd watch the projection, but he still looks okay. Klay Thompson, 2x the field here, would feel better about that if Kyrie are in. I also think, again, the projection will jump if Kyrie is out, but at that point, it's like, do they just get their ass kicked? I think that increases the likelihood of Klay sitting. Miami's not a good enough team necessarily to kick your ass, but for Klay Thompson here, it's a lot of Klay Thompson exposure unless Kyrie, well, even if Kyrie's in. Draymond Green, 2x the field on him. I don't agree with that one, but I get it with the price tag. I do think casual players will play Draymond a lot for as many as will be here on a Thursday slate before the All-Star break. Draymond Green, people see that box score yesterday and click it, and I don't know that they should because the rates have gone down with Jimmy Butler there. Every rate for Draymond has gone down. Şengün, 37% compared to 29. Talked about that before. He's that highly owned. Thompson, not that highly owned. Probably can get some leverage there. Keontae George, 45% leverage in Stokastic's top 150 simmed lineups. Cam Whitmore, 39%. Eve Missy, 38. Alvarado, 30. Klay Thompson, 23. Draymond Green, 17. Zach LaVine, 13% leverage. So these are your guys that Stokastic is the most above the field on. As I mentioned, Keontae George, that's probably not going to hold if the Jazz guys do play Kessler, Markkanen, and Collins. Negative leverage guys, you got Chris Dunn, negative 18% leverage. Anthony Edwards, negative 17. Max Prosper, negative 13. They're low on him. Buddy Hield, negative 12. Steve Mikhailiuk, negative 11, which is odd because they have the Jazz guys out. If you get Markkanen out, play Mikhailiuk. Play Mikhailiuk at least a little bit at 4,500. Keegan Murray, negative 11%. Jalen Green, negative 10. Those are the most anti-stands right now. I'm going to give you my splash plays for the day, guys. Before I do, though, one more quick ask. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. It goes a long way for me here. Look, even when my motivation wanes, I am a human being, much like you guys. It's fucking hard to get up for these slates, especially after the 15-gamer yesterday. But we do the best we can here always, and that is my promise here. I will always do the best I can any given day for you guys. If you're watching my content, know that I've prepared for it. I've obsessed over it. I don't want to fuck it up for you. That's really how splash play works. It is a journey every day to watch one man not give you bad information is always the goal here. Sponsors, Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash. Check it out. Really a great deal on there. Your best deposit match deal you're going to find in the space for your pick'ems, for your best ball, for whatever you're playing. Stokastic, 15% off the data we saw on screen. If you want an update for it, when Stokastic does update it, you get it for yourself at Stokastic. 15% off all their data. If you don't want to pay for NBA this month, get an all-access pass. Play some NASCAR, play some MMA, play whatever your heart desires. They've got data and sims for everything. And of course, Unabated. I couldn't do the show without them, so please, Unabated, go check them out. Please, fucking, I'll jiggle them like this. I'll jerk them off. Go check out Unabated here. I can't make them happy. Only you can by signing up. So $30 off. Promo code SPLASH Unabated. My splash plays for the day as of right now. Max Christie, I think in terms of the value tier is one. Alvarado in the value tier, another. I think those guys don't change no matter what. I would watch out for the Haywood Highsmith start. I think there's a chance that he could play for Wiggins. He sucks, but he's 3,100. And if he starts and plays like 30 minutes, that might be a thing that matters a lot here. If he doesn't start, though, please don't play him. And if he starts and he's fucking super chalk, I also probably would not play him at that point. I'd take a shot on somebody else. But Christie and Alvarado, I think are going to be good no matter what. My top overall projected guys, the guys that I there really isn't a lot in terms of the pay up options. Sorting by my projections one more time here off screen. If Anthony Edwards goes, I think I would stand by him a little bit. Didn't get him as much as I thought in the sim, but it would be him. Zubac, I'm getting a lot of its center, so I'll highlight him. Trey Murphy and McCollum, I think those guys are under-owned on this slate with no Zion out there. The rates take a pretty big jump up. Şengün, good ownership. And goes the stands. So that's it for today, guys. And that's it. All-Star break coming up. So I will be in the VIP Discord for people that want to go to the NFL channel and sign up there if you want to talk about shit. I'll be in there. If you want to give me feedback too for this video or in general for what the show's been doing here, it's been about 3 months and change doing this channel. So trying to get to our first 1,000 subs. That's the goal here, but really help me figure out what is right for you guys. What's wrong? What am I doing? What could I do better? And if it's being nice people in chat, that one I'm not going to listen to. Anything else, leave in the comments down below. Let me know. I'm going to be looking at everything here during the All-Star break, trying to make it just a little bit better here is going to be the hope, but we'll see what it gets. And that's it. I'll be back at 6 p.m. on Stokastic, so check that out. And on the deeper dive, and I'll see you guys then. So gamble responsibly here, even though it is always money time. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at SplashPlayNBA. And I'll see you guys again soon. So enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.